Welcome back to another episode of the Socratic Cinema podcast. My name is Charlie Heatherly.
I'm James. Seriously, Kasey?
No, keep it in.
Seriously, Kasey? Dude? Really?
Really?
I thought.
It was. I wanted.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Kasey Clark podcast. My name is Kasey, I'm Kasey, and I'm Kasey.
Wow.
Really?
Podcast is falling
This is
apart.
a family
at the seams.
establishment.
My name is
Delete the
James. My
tweet.
name is James Delicio.
And I'm Haleigh Phillips.
Oh, I'm supposed to continue that. Okay. We all watched Marriage Story, which I thought was an absolutely fantabulous film with great actors, great emotion, a great story. It was great. Just really, really great.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, no, I agree. It was definitely my favorite of the slurry of movies we watched for this block. That's a word.
Yeah. It's a little
I loved
verbose. I don't know.
Marriage Story so much. It's another movie that I think I actually watched Marriage Story over 3 days.
Why?
I
It's a
don't-
2.5 hour film.
Yeah, but I would sit down at like 10 and I'd watch an hour and I'm like, all right, I'm tired. And then the next day I'd do the same thing. Yeah, I watched it over 3 days and it didn't damper my experience at all. Like, I still absolutely loved this movie so much. Amazing. Give Adam Driver Best Actor. Give Scarlett Johansson Best Actress. Give Marriage Story every single Oscar that there is. Give it all of them.
I agree entirely.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Haleigh?
Except visual effects, cats.
Oh. No. We're
Off-
kicking him
Yikes.
off.
Off the podcast.
Kicking his
No,
mic
we are
off.
all right.
Okay,
all right.
wait, hold on. He gave Cats a 4 out of 10. A 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
That's
What?
4 points too high out of 10.
I give it a 4 out of 10.
That's 5
Why?
points too high.
5 is an average movie. How did you give it?
Oh,
Slightly below
well,
average.
see, for me, the average movie winds up being a 6 or a 7. My scale is weighted differently.
Wait, so
You sound
so
like college board.
If we're talking about,
he weighs movies on a bell curve. This man.
Yeah, kinda. If we're saying 5 is the completely fine movie, then Cats is like a 2.
Okay. What do you think it did well enough to deserve those 2 points?
So Marriage Story.
this
I
a-
think
It
I
had
was
a-
fine.
it had a couple. Yeah, we
I
made
know.
an active
No,
decision.
this is James
not
rebellion
to do a Cats
against
show.
us.
It had
We
a
all-
couple. It had a couple of like. It had a couple of fun scenes. I think Robert Pattinson was great. I think Grisabella was great. I think the new main character actor, like, as bad as it was, there was a handful of like good things about it that got it the 2 or maybe 3.
Okay.
The cockroaches.
I'm not going to trust your
with
score on Marriage Story
human
unless it's a
faces.
perfect 10 out of 10 now. On your scale.
It's definitely like at least I would not give Marriage Story any lower than a 9.
Okay.
It's a 9, probably
That's fair.
a 9.5 or a 10. It's up like Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit are my two favorite movies of the year.
Interesting.
Snap.
Yes,
And
snaps.
Haleigh?
Well-
Haleigh, what did you think?
Personally, for me, I'm a survivor of divorce, so I watched this with my mom and we laughed because it's
Really?
all so true. It's so true. It's so funny.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, we laughed because this is not how it works.
Oh, no, it's 100% how it works. Just how lawyers and the whole court process kind of whittles out. Like, okay, I love this movie because it showed how divorce is so different than what they expected.
yeah,
And, like, what they wanted. This movie was about what each one of them wanted, I feel,
yeah.
in life.
Wait, so I have a quick. How? Pardon me if this is too like personal, but how old were you? Close to the child's age in the movie? Like, how old were you?
Well, my divorce story was very different than the story. I
Right,
was in, like,
right.
3rd grade.
I think. How old is Henry in the movie?
He's 8.
Oh, so maybe.
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe
wow.
I was the same age.
Huh.
Then yeah.
Okay, no, I was just wondering, just for like comparison's sake.
No, yeah. But yeah,
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was awesome. I think that added just a +1 for me on
Oh,
mine.
yeah,
'cause I was like,
absolutely.
you have this amazing movie on top of it. It's just kind of making
Yeah, absolutely.
this documentation.
That's really insightful. Kasey?
I really like this movie. I'm a sucker for like a bittersweet kind of romance movie where it makes you feel like you're rooting for both sides,
Mm-hmm.
even though you know that both sides are like extremely, extremely flawed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like where you're looking at a puzzle and you know that the pieces won't fit together, but like apart they're like beautiful pieces in itself, you know?
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
like,
that's such a
yeah,
good analogy.
analogies.
I think you made a really great point in that there's no there's no right answer. Like there's no person you're supposed to be rooting for. They both have just as good of a reason to win, quote unquote, the divorce, because there's no winners in a divorce is I think one of the big things the movie tries to say. But there's no side that you're meant to root for. They just like they both have as many pros and cons as the other do, and that was really crazy. Oh man, yeah.
I'm really glad that this movie was so real in portraying divorce as it was, because for me the movie was very emotionally raw and realistic, and it's good to see that they did their research on the actual process of that. And I think some of the most interesting parts of the movie are the court scenes in all of the little tiny things. Like
it's also true.
It's a good movie without being an action movie, which is sort of a rare thing in 2019, where we have a whole lot of movies that are based around action. I mean, even Jojo Rabbit had a couple action scenes in it.
Yeah, I mean, the climax was like navigating a war zone.
Basically, yeah. And this movie, for me, it understood sort of the dark side of love so very well, and how that can lead to more toxicity.
Yeah. And it's so hard for, like, you want it to work. You just want them to figure it out, and you want it to work. And like, the thing with me is that you can see that they care about each other so much in this movie. What are their characters' names?
I'm just gonna call him.
It's John. No.
It's Charlie.
Charlie is one of them.
Charlie and.
Is it Jay? Why do I think Jay?
Because
I want to say
Scarlett
Johansson.
Johansson. I want to say Jay, right?
Yeah, I want to say like Joanne or something.
Yeah.
Scarlett.
Nicole.
Nicole.
It's Nicole. Yes.
You are so good with names in movies.
Johansson.
Thank you.
Yeah. But Charlie and Nicole, you want them to figure it out and work and be in love, and it just doesn't.
Especially opening up like the way it did with the love letters, like the letters of what each one of them admires.
That could be one of the most brilliant ways to open a movie.
Is so amazing.
So good.
And just
exposition on 10.
for real, like if you're gonna set up a movie, that's how you do it.
That's
and just the clash going immediately from them listing all these things they admire about each other to a marriage counselor. It's just like, I know how this movie's gonna be now. But I wanted to say that, like...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I also liked how they didn't flash back to any of the moments that they hated about one another. It was all dialogue. Like,
That's
it was
true.
her talking to her lawyer about all the things that happened.
Yeah.
And him talking to her about things he hated
Mm-hmm.
and situations that happened. Like, it was all verbal.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's so good because I can't speak for personal experience, but from what I've been around divorces, especially with how they portray like the lawyer scenes, it is a very he said she said. So it's very good to I feel like it's more impactful where they just like say it, because you don't know exactly which side is true or not, so it gives you the reality. The reality and like the open to interpretation.
And I love the idea that the lawyers are totally in on it. They're like, Nicole's lawyer is just like
Nora.
Yeah, Nora. She's just like, yeah, I don't care what's true or not. We need to make a case that we can win with. You know, and it's just like, wow, just how unafraid if Dark Waters paints lawyers, movies like Dark Waters and To Kill a Mockingbird paint lawyers in like a noble light. Marriage Story is like, it's just their job. Like they do what they need. They do what they need to do to make a case that can win. And it's just so. It was such a good contrast that the lawyers are all about like, what can we take away from the other person? Like how can we give you as much as possible and take away from them? But then Charlie and Nicole are like, no, we want it 50-50. Like there's no as many hard feelings as there were there. It was just kind of like, you know, there's no hard feelings. Like it's like they wanted a low drama split, but it's not what happened.
And it's interesting to see not only how the court is shown these characters. Like, I mean, they're obviously seeing the caricatures of both Charlie and Nicole, but both of them see the other in a very unflattering light because of this whole thing. I mean, Charlie goes for most of the movie denying that Nicole is willing to do anything to where she would take away custody from him. I mean, but obviously that's a thing that's happening, whether Nicole likes it or not. So at some level, she is responsible, and it shows this really interesting and complex way that the reality of the situation is distorting their love for one another, because obviously they still love each other after their divorce, and that's not constant in every divorce, but it is in this one.
Yeah.
Where at the very end of the movie, you finally get Scarlett Johansson or Nicole's letter to be read by Charlie. That was such an emotional
that was
moment.
so
and in front of
beautiful.
like
in
with
front of
Henry.
who was asking about some words. Like,
Yeah,
oh.
he's like, how do you read this?
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing. And I see what you mean about like their love kind of being warped by the whole divorce process, because at the beginning it's very pure and it's very simple, and it's like, we're just not working together anymore, we need to split. But when they bring lawyers into it, it just starts spiraling into, you know, he said, she said, and it's weird to me because they both did a lot of things. Like, they both did a lot of things that would end a marriage, right? Charlie cheated on his wife at the end of the day, and Nicole, whatever, is an alcoholic or whatever the claims were being made. It's just like, there's no good guys here, but there's no bad guys either. It's
Yeah, all of their actions have, and the movie's really good at doing this, all of their actions have a logical cause and effect.
they're justified.
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
I mean, to some degree. Like,
Yes.
obviously cheating on your spouse is never justified, but you can understand the mindset he was in when he
Did it.
Yeah, when he did it.
Yes.
Like, his wife hadn't been giving him attention, he feels lonely and desperate for some sort of connection, so that's why he did it. Is it right? No.
And there's
obviously not.
There's
but-
that line where he's like, you shouldn't be jealous that I slept with her. You should be jealous that I had a laugh with her. And it's just like, he just, ugh.
Ugh,
It's so,
jeez.
That scene in general, just
Oh my
the
gosh.
argument.
That's Oscar
That
winning.
was an amazing
Yeah.
scene.
That should be classic from now on. Like,
Yes.
Yes.
seeing Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson just push to their absolute limits of how much emotion they can portray. And these are two of the best actors of our generations, mind you.
Yes.
Like, although Adam Driver is known mainly for being Kylo Ren, he is a powerhouse of emotion.
I was hanging on to, like, for a long time I was just like, yeah, sure, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, best actor. And then I saw this movie, Adam Driver all the way.
Yeah.
Adam Driver for best actor.
For sure.
For me, it's either Scarlett Johansson or the one from Marriage Story who I can't say her name right.
Laura Dern?
No. Joe.
Ellen? From Little Women.
Little Women. I keep saying Marriage Story again. Or
Uh,
what did I? What's the one from Little Women?
Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse Ronan.
For me, it's either her or Scarlett Johansson for Best Actress. But
Mm-hmm.
man, Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, they just bring their A game in that one argument scene, and it's amazing. And it's just so powerful. Like, you watch that, and it's like, I feel like I just got in an argument. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And they're saying all these negative things about each other, but really both of them know that neither is really telling the truth. It's just raw emotion coming out, right?
And I love that at the end when Charlie, like, after he says the thing where he's like, I wish, I wish you were dead, and that if it means I could keep Henry safe, you'd get hit by a car, and it's just like, yeah. And then afterwards he just breaks down, and Scarlett Johansson goes over and comforts him,
Yeah.
and holds him, and that was just such a beautiful shot. Like,
sure.
right, like, you have the cracked wall where Charlie punched the wall during the argument, and then you just have, like, this broken couple, but they still need each other, and at the end of the day. And it was so, oh man, that was just amazing.
It's just so real, and I mean, I'm sure it's fantastically relatable to a whole bunch of people, and on how that whole almost addiction to someone that love can be turned rotten like that so very quickly through a bunch of little tiny actions.
Man, I think the reason that this divorce hit so hard is those moments like them comforting each other, or when Charlie comes through the door and gets like a hello kiss. It's things like that that it's like, oh, they're still. It's hard to break a habit like that when you have lived with someone, or when you're with someone for so long. It's hard to cut all that out.
I know when she calls him sweetie on accident,
and
or
honey.
and honey, and then says, "Wait, no, sorry."
Yeah,
I was like,
it's
oh,
those
come
it's those
on.
little moments where it's like they still they're still married to an extent during, like, they're not married till they're divorced, you know.
And I think the most redeeming thing about both of them is not their love for one another, but their love for their child. Like, they're honestly pretty good parents. Like, they're trying to keep their son out of this as much as possible.
Yeah.
And in every scene that you see both of them in, they're treating their child very well, and they care about him deeply, very, very deeply. And they both want him to know that they had his best interests in mind. Because Adam Driver's like, I'm not going to let him go to Nicole. He needs to know that I fought for him.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was such a great line to me.
I feel like the movie started to teeter into the territory of having the competent, capable mom and the bumbling dad who can't quite take care of the kid on his own. But it didn't. Like, it got close, but it never fully committed, and I'm thankful for that. Because we've seen that so much, but you get the moments where, like, the inspector comes to Charlie's house to see how he handles Henry, and he's an A1 parent, and it's just, it's so hard that you can see. I'm not gonna pretend like I've experienced divorce or anything, even just through friends, but, like, it's a fact that most of the time the mother wins the custody cases and things like that, and it's just interesting to me that you can kind of see how the system is skewed that way even in the movie. Like, the inspector is, or even not, it's not even like it's the system's fault, but just you can see that, like, the odds are stacked against Charlie and he knows it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, suddenly Henry's not behaving when the inspector comes over, and Nora's coming up with this crazy cutthroat case to get Charlie to lose custody. Even in the end of the divorce case, it ends up being 55-45 in Nicole's favor. And it's just like, I don't know, I just thought that was interesting.
And Nora only did that because she could.
Yeah.
Like, she did not...
Yeah, she did not have to at all.
Yeah, no, she wanted to spite her friend or something like that.
It was
she was like her
Lord
colleague.
J.
Yeah, and she was like, I just didn't want Charlie to be able to say that he won.
Yeah, I just didn't want him to say
Which
that he
is-
got 50-50.
Yeah, more into the, like, toxic mindset of the lawyers.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like, I feel like the movie kind of shifts between... Like, I feel like the main problem in the movie with the characters is them imposing their will on each other and others.
Yeah.
Because that was... I feel like it's safe to say that the main problem in their relationship... Like, there's all sorts of, like, different variables and symptoms, but, like... It was Nicole felt trapped underneath, why did I want to say Charlie, because she felt that he kept imposing what he wanted and imposing, like, everything that's good for him over what was good for her. And that, like, all she wanted was to be able to, she just wanted to own something, to be, like, seen. And you see that in her conversation with Nora at, like, the midpoint of the movie, where she's just explaining the entire situation.
That scene was really...
That was really, like, whew.
And this movie has this thing where I wouldn't call it a long take, because they're not quite long takes. It's just these stretches of time where they don't cut away to anything. Like, normally in a long take is more like you film the whole scene on one camera and it, like, follows the action around. But this is more like they probably had a traditional 3-camera setup, but they just didn't cut away from one of the close-up shots.
Yeah.
Like, you just get, like, at least 3 minutes of a static shot of Scarlett Johansson as she explains the story. And it's not... Usually stuff like that's distracting. It's not distracting, because you're just so...
Captivated. Right?
Yeah, you're so enveloped in her story. And it does things like that a lot in the movie. Whenever there's a big emotional monologue, it's impressive that they got away with that.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
The cinematography is just it's on point. It does a really good job of showing the divide. I think one of the most obvious examples to me is the when Charlie's, like, leaving her apartment with Henry, and they're like, the gate's not working, and so he's pulling the gate, and you want it to be like this moment of, there's kind of this moment of longing where they're staring at each other from other sides of the gate as they're pushing it closed. And, like, you cut back to Nicole, and she kind of, like, almost, like, falters a little bit in the inside, and you cut back to Charlie, and the gate just closes on him. And it's like, you can, literally, the gate is, like,
being close.
Yeah, between in their relationship, and it was just such a.
Well, and it's stuff like that because you could so easily, for a movie where you're trying to divide the two and show a division, do like a split take where it's her day on one side and his day on the other.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they did that in Hobbs and Shaw, and it worked well in that movie. But it's not entirely the most creative thing.
Yeah.
But this movie, for everything, goes just the extra little distance, and it creates new ways to show all these different feelings and emotions that the characters are experiencing, and it's just so brilliant and so well thought through. Who directed it? Does anyone know?
Noah Baumbach.
Oh yeah,
No, something like that.
I think you're right, Baumbach.
Yeah.
Yeah, what other movies has he done? Do you guys know?
He did something with Adam Sandler in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know what.
Oh.
Wow, what a redemption story.
Yeah, Adam Sandler, bedtime stories will forever hit.
Yes.
But other than that,
That's his feet, guys.
Uncut Gems.
Oh, for real? We need to watch that.
Yeah. That's a sidebar. But
also. Oh no, I was gonna keep sidebarring.
Oh.
Oh, I wanted to bring
we
up
can.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
how it paralleled New York life and LA life really
Yeah.
well.
Oh,
The
yeah.
dynamics of how business and show business works, the differences in like artistic, styles. Like my mom loved that because she used to like live in New York for most of her life, city. She was like, oh my gosh, this is like perfect because like you really get to see just as like a bonus like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
different
It's-
art styles are appreciated. And
It's so funny to
business.
me as someone who lives near LA. I've never seen LA painted in such a positive light.
Right.
Honestly.
They're
I
like-
know everyone's like, I love LA.
LA's
Yeah.
great. It's so spacious, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Well, so actually, this is a really weird coincidence. For my AP English Lang class, I had to read a bunch of essays by Joan Didion over
Slouching
break.
Towards Bethlehem.
Slouching Towards
Oh.
Bethlehem. Fantastic set of essays. I want to read every single one of them in there, although we were only assigned a couple. But there is one essay. It's the final one, and it talks about her life in New York and how she came to just feel utterly trapped and depressed by the city, and how it forced her to move to LA, which was more open and free. And I think they definitely sort of touch on that a tiny little bit, how New York is... It's a very energetic city, and as a young person, she says this in her work, it's very easy for a young person to get swept up in that energy and start feeling that. But once you grow older and more problems start to face you, it gets to be too much. It's the concrete jungle closes in.
Yeah.
And the buildings, they start to wrap around you, and you end up not being able to go to places because you have all these bad memories there.
And then I think the one thing that they definitely got right about LA and New York is that you can't walk anywhere in LA. That's
really can't.
That's for real. Of course, I say all this having never been to New York.
You can walk a lot of places in New York.
Yeah, because that's what Charlie was always saying. He's like, oh man, I wish I could just walk there. I hate having to. It was so sad to me seeing their Halloween and how they just are like driving from store to store. It's like, that's not.
Asking for candy.
It's like, dude.
So sad.
Apparently, my parents used to live in Hawaii. That's where my older sister was born. Apparently, Halloween there, trick-or-treating's like not a big thing, but what you do is you go to the mall on Halloween, and like tourists just kind of know that like, oh, this is an American thing. We give out candy on this day. And so people will just like give your kid candy if you go to the mall on Halloween.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
That's
Which is really, I was just like, huh, it's little cultural differences.
I mean, but that Halloween scene was like the first time with Charlie where I was like, oh, come on, please win.
Yeah.
Because he cares so much, and
I know.
he got a costume made for his son.
And it's so hard to see that Henry's just not as into Charlie as he is to Nicole. Like, no matter how good of a parent Charlie is, like, you can see that Henry likes Nicole better, and that's crushing to see.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
And that's probably just, he's more attached to his mother.
Yeah. There's no
no rhyme or reason.
It's nobody's
behind it.
fault.
And
for
Nicole
that.
says that. She's like, oh, he's just in like a mommy stage. But that is integral to the way that the rest of it's going to go.
Which is so tough, and that's why the divorce process is so tough, is because it takes love and marriage and things like that are so unique each and every time, right? Like there's no set pattern that follows, and it's always different, and it's always skewed in different areas to one person or another.
Yeah.
And when you get another person in to view that, they don't understand the backstory, and they don't understand the things that have led up to that. So to have all these marriage counselors and lawyers and the child service person, or like the independent,
the investigator, or
yeah,
whatever.
the independent investigator come in and then make decisions on your life without knowing how your life is actually gone.
Yeah,
It's heartbreaking. Especially, I think the biggest thing they focus on is when they say, or when Charlie keeps insisting, we're a New York family. We've always been a New York family. Nicole's just out here for a job, right?
That's a tough, like, that was one of the things where I was just like, I really don't know who's right here, because they are a New York family. Like, they lived in New York. I think Charlie's right in that they're a New York family, but
Nicole's right that they're currently living there.
yeah,
right?
you can't split a kid across New York and LA. That's undoable.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the movies like these that put the hard questions on you that are the best, because there's not a right answer to any of it. It's just, they just have to do the best they can and figure it out. Man, imagine how hard it is having an apartment in New York and LA at the same time. Like, it's hard enough getting an apartment in either one of those cities.
Imagine
Oh, for real.
how much you have to pay.
Having to pay for both of those has got to be horrible.
Oh my gosh. And the fact that Charlie's getting financially ruined because of all this,
Yeah.
all the. So why was the reason that he had to pay like 10% or whatever for Nicole's lawyer?
Oh,
What was that?
I think that's just custom.
Yeah.
That's just custom,
Which is
And
a
it was
weird
30%.
custom. 30%, yeah.
even though they both had jobs, right? And they were both.
Well, she was an actress on that TV show, and he just got the grant for the play, I think is what they said.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you can't use the grant money for personal stuff like that, though.
Well,
That's what they were gonna.
Yeah, he was
threaten
in
him
the
with.
in the courtroom too. She was like, he gets $1 million in $160,000 deposits, and then they was like, Nicole earned 50% of that, but then when that doesn't go through, Charlie makes a comment. He's like, well, my first payments, go into the whole divorce anyways. So it's,
Yeah.
I think that he did probably.
So you can't. That's a weird. Come on,
It's
grant money.
I
let's-
think it's less of a grant and more of cash
like
prize.
like a
for
reward
just being smart. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
for being a genius.
I want to go see some avant-garde theater in New York.
Yeah, let's
now.
go see
Honestly.
Electra.
Electra.
Yeah.
Oh man.
How did we feel about the juxtaposition in the singing, like the numbers, the
Oh yeah.
singing numbers?
Charlie's number was so somber and
It
so.
was so sad.
I tried to find that scene on YouTube again, but it's only on Netflix Italy.
Wait, what?
It's only on the Italian Netflix's YouTube channel.
Well, James, you're Italian.
Yeah.
No,
This is a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining, but I saw the scene on there,
That's
and I was
weird.
like, oh, who posted this scene? And it was like Netflix of Italy. It was like Charlie canta whatever, and it was like, well, I don't know. But
I know, and then and then Nicole had her fun little dance.
yeah, her
Yeah.
happy
Because she
number.
won.
With the family and all that.
And Nora, like everyone was there. It was like a celebration party.
Yeah, I think it was a
And
party for the
Mhm,
wedding or for the divorce.
And then he was at like a
He was just
simp session
he was
for the
simping with
divorce.
the lads. It's a common activity of the lads and I. Oh man,
I would know.
Charlie is
Charlie,
not
are you saying something?
No,
other
not-
Charlie. Charlie and Lori. We've got so many simp icons this
Oh my
year for
God.
movies.
I know. Who would you say deserves the Oscar for Simp Icon of the Year?
Best simper. Charlie doesn't simp as Lori simps.
Yeah,
Lori.
Lori.
Lori Simp.
For
Can
those-
we say
Lori-
Kylo Ren is a simp?
But he
I think we characterized him as more incel. Because he gets the kiss at the end. That's not simpy.
and then he dies.
Well, he gave his life for that kid. So.
But I mean,
Exactly.
but a simp would not care. Like he like that.
he
that's-
get the kiss and he's like, dang, still disappointed.
Yeah. I for those who don't know, for our boomer audience,
Oh.
that was I don't mean anything by that. Simping
Okay, boomer.
is like it's basically just when a guy or a girl is sad about their romance or lack thereof. It's basically
Relationship woes.
single guy is sad that girls don't like him. That's Lori.
Mhm.
And Charlie's a little simpy, but not really.
Mhm.
He's more like
He was married.
yeah. So
had
he has
a
a
whole
kid.
Incel.
Being married with a kid, but
Incel.
also an
He
incel.
cheated on his wife.
Why?
Oh, man.
God.
Do you guys think it was Best Picture worthy?
Yes,
Yes?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of stuff that
Yeah, what
would be
movie
better.
beats it?
Yeah, that's
Joker.
the thing.
Blah.
I
No.
think the runnings, like the big,
Oh,
the ones that I've been hearing
that
big
was
talk about
passionate.
for Best Picture, I've been hearing big talk about Marriage Story, Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, Parasite, and like a few others.
I haven't
There are
seen
just
Parasite.
two of them that I haven't.
I want
know.
to see Parasite.
I don't
want
think
to.
Irishman deserves the win. I think, regardless of how much you liked Irishman, Marriage Story is more fresh.
Irishman is
Yeah.
not. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it's Best Picture.
It was just a bunch of like noir color, like
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
grayscale, but like
Muted.
Yeah,
I hear
muted.
people say that 1917 is going to win a lot of stuff. I don't see it winning anything except for maybe like something with sound. War movies are always really good with their sound.
That's
CGI, apparently, it's fantastic and seamless what they use.
Really?
Oh.
I don't know what CGI they use, though.
Yeah, I was like, I don't.
I really do want to see it, because making a war movie one, quote-unquote, one take, obviously they had multiple cuts, but making it like that feels like it really brings you into the action.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a really great story.
Yeah.
I mean, they've Benedict Cumberbatch and Colin Firth in it.
It's like one big long take, right? The whole movie.
Yeah, and Sam Mendes, who did a Bond movie, like, I mean, you got some heavy hitters in there.
All right, I'm gonna say this once, and I'm gonna say it now. I think limited release is so stupid. It's
so
They
stupid.
suck.
I haven't.
Oh.
There's an interesting theory that they did limited release because of Oscar season, but I don't understand why
But
they wouldn't just
why?
release it.
Why not just put
There's
it?
some sort of strategy.
Just
they were
Mercy
doing.
did the exact same thing. Both I wanted to see 1917 and I wanted to see Just Mercy.
And
Both of
Lighthouse.
which and Lighthouse.
Lighthouse is actually getting a lot of Best Picture noms as well.
I need to see Lighthouse.
People are saying
too.
that's the film of, like...
It's on Amazon, right? It's on Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah,
I hope we
it
have time to
is.
watch it after this, but Lighthouse is... It's supposed to be insanely good.
Yeah.
Sophomore picture of the Vitch director.
The
Also Robert Pattinson. I love Robert Pattinson
as not a magical cat.
as magical Mr. Mistopheles.
Here
um,
we go.
I
Every
wonder,
episode,
I
we're bringing
wonder
cat-
if that changes our Best Picture nom, or sorry, not Best Picture nom, Best Actor nom to one of them.
I don't know. But I was gonna say, I think I can't. Oh yeah, limited release is stupid. I really wanted to see 1917 and Just Mercy. They both were supposedly coming out on Christmas. It's like, oh, cool.
Lies.
You want to go to Santa Monica to see? It's like, no. We have to wait till January 10th, which, granted, is not that long away. I'm still mad.
Yeah.
Like, why would you stop your audience from Why would you not let the casual audience see your
Okay.
movie?
Yeah,
I think
that's
I
less
sort of
money.
understand it, actually. 1970, Star Wars came out. Star Wars
Would
Star Wars
destroy
made
it.
70 mil at its second
That's
week at the
true.
box
I
office.
get it.
And you have Jumanji out.
70 mil.
And you have
all
Little
these
Women coming out.
blockbusters.
You have great movies coming out. 1917, sorry, isn't going to compete.
Okay,
That's
yeah. Well,
true.
now we have 1917.
Or Just
But now see,
Mercy.
the hype is up. We're talking about 1917.
But let me say, 1917 and Just Mercy they're going to full release on the same day. It's like you haven't
Yeah.
fixed anything.
They're movies that are not for a general audience.
That's
Like,
true.
As much as we love watching these artistic films and talking about them, they're pretty niche when it comes
Yeah,
to
you
it.
remember when we
Yeah.
saw Dark Waters? There was like 2 people in the
Yeah,
theater.
and Dark Waters was fantastic, and
It was amazing.
a lot of people still haven't seen Dark Waters, and that's because these, yeah,
Yeah.
ladies of the podcast.
2 out of
These
4 people
people.
here
I-
haven't seen it.
It was like To Kill a Mockingbird, but just the stuff with Atticus and about Teflon.
Ooh.
Yes,
That sounds- okay.
Teflon.
No, it's-
I
yeah.
use that
It's very good, but it's just like
as like a phrase.
Oh, I was gonna say you're gonna not want to use it after you see the movie.
yeah,
Probably.
no, definitely.
I
not.
got home and I was like, Mom, do we have anything Teflon? Just our pancake griddle, it turns out.
Oh well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Throw it away.
But I just feel like, as a general thing, even Marriage Story, like these movies need more general audience appeal, and I don't mean that they should change anything about the movie. I mean that general audiences should wise up to seeing movies.
I think Netflix is a good place for them. I think
Yeah.
Netflix
Definitely.
is a better home, and like for movies like Irishman and Marriage Story, because on Netflix you're more like you don't go to the movie theater and browse. You know what movie you're gonna see going in, but Netflix opens up that window of like
Hey,
recommended
this
for you, or I
Yeah.
need something to watch. You
Or
know?
because you watched this,
Yeah.
maybe you'll like
The
this.
counterpoint to that is that some movies are meant to be seen in the theater. 1917, Dunkirk is meant to be.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, sure,
Dunkirk.
sure.
I mean, Dunkirk is
Has to.
20% a worse movie because of it not being in theaters
I
anymore.
I watched Roma on a phone. Not as good as it would have been on a big screen. I get it.
Wasn't
Roma.
Roma always a Netflix release, or
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
did
No, it was in
Oh,
theaters
it
for a
was
few
limited
weekends.
release.
for a few-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, but it's just movies. Some movies are meant to be viewed with that type of sound and that type of visual detail.
Did Roma win any Oscars?
It
Oh,
did.
Best
did.
foreign picture, best
Yeah.
director.
Yeah, that type.
It won surprisingly.
Alfonso Cuarón, Children of Men, same director.
Personally, I think I would have liked Irishman more if I saw it in a theater. Would I have gone to see it in a
Probably.
theater? No.
Nice thing about seeing long movies in theaters is you have no choice but to watch it all.
Well,
That's
exactly.
true.
have to
Right.
sit.
And plus, when I'm watching something at home, like I'm texting people on my phone as I'm doing it, or like you know my family's coming in and out of the room. So
Yeah.
so I have all these distractions when movie theaters really like sort of make you focus on the art that you're
Or
watching.
I'm trying to watch The Irishman on my phone, and this podcast group chat keeps on popping up, and I have to like swipe the notification away. That was really annoying.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I don't know who did that. To
Yeah, I
you.
don't know who it could have been. But
They sound handsome though.
yeah.
No comment.
The longest pause.
My train of thought has just got derailed. Oh, I hear people talk about like, for some reason me saying like you have no choice but to watch the movie if you're seeing it in a theater. Do you guys ethically agree with leaving a movie
Yes.
during the middle of like at a theater?
Yes.
I've never done it.
I've never done it.
but-
I don't think to me, I don't think I will. To me, it's like
You paid
It
for
does-
it. You're
yeah.
gonna see
I
it.
paid for it. I'm gonna see it, and at the same time, it's like, for some reason, the closest thing I can think of is like, the same level of disrespect as like burning a book. It's like,
Whoa.
Oh.
it's like
No.
this is
Alright.
it's like this is a piece of art that people have worked hard on. I paid to be here. It would be disrespectful of me to leave halfway through.
I paid. I paid for Haleigh and I's tickets to see Cats. I paid $20 for those tickets. I wanted to leave in the first 15 minutes. I had to sit through horror and pain and disgust and agony for 2 hours while I watched that godforsaken movie. I didn't want to see it. I wanted to walk out, and I think I had a right. I paid my money. They already have it. I'm not getting it back. I'm not going to ask for a refund.
Right.
I have a right to leave if I don't like watching it.
To me, I get what you're saying, but just to me, it's like
I'm sorry.
I
I
can't. Like, it just doesn't feel right to me.
It's like
I get both your points, but like,
associated disrespect. It's not like
It's
you're
not like
going up
And
or like
spitting
you're
in someone's
tweeting,
face,
yeah,
right,
or like
like-
you're tweeting like, "Oh, I walked out of this movie." Da, 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 da.
I mean, like, there's plenty of books that I haven't finished reading because I thought that they were boring.
That's
Like,
a lot
that
less of a
part.
commitment to me, though.
It's sort of the same thing,
It
though. I mean,
is,
I spend
though,
more
yeah.
like I read I read part of Bill Nye's autobiography or something, and personally, I didn't like it too much, so I stopped reading it like a fourth of the way through.
Well, even with books, I always like I read part of them and I always feel like I have to finish it even if I don't want to.
But a book you'll still have. Like in movie theater, you walk out, you're not seeing that part of the movie you missed.
Yeah,
until
that's
you buy it
exactly
again.
exactly. A book you can always come back to, but like you're gonna either have to buy the DVD or something. It's like
It's like you're gonna have to just repay. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
for me, it's like you might as well finish what you started. Like you made your bed, now
Oh,
lie in
yeah.
it, dude. Like I'm sorry, this movie's not what you wanted it to be. At least finish it so that you can make a proper judgment.
I mean, but if you're not
Alright,
enjoying
that's-
your
that's
time
fine.
in the movie theater, then why are you there?
Okay, how about I could understand if you want to leave the movie, but don't complain about the movie if you left early. Like you don't have the right,
Yeah.
you can't make an informed argument
Yeah,
if you
that's
didn't
true.
watch the whole movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Because a lot of people do like. Okay, that's a
My
general
stomach is
statement.
growling. Like I can
Whoa.
respect that you disliked Cats even more than I disliked it because you watched the whole movie.
Well, I still think it's fair
Did
to
you
to
not
walk out
watch
in the
the
first
whole-
15
No, I
minutes.
did, but I'm saying like
Oh,
I'm saying like if
oh,
you walked out
okay.
after the first 15 minutes, I
Gonna
would
say.
not
Respect,
accept your
yeah.
argument.
I think it's. I would still.
Holy moly, gang!
Yeah, your stomach is going ham.
I'm
Cheaper.
hungry.
I would still accept someone's argument if they really didn't like it that much, because they seem to have a very emotional connection to it and then would hate it that much more. Like,
Of course, it's different if the movie's like offensive.
I mean,
Yeah,
this is,
I would
that's
only
different.
walk out if I was like visibly.
If
like,
it was
disturbed or
something,
upset by
yes,
something.
that's the only.
so this is another example. I have actually walked out of a movie before. It wasn't my choice. When seeing Shape of Water, I watched it with my mother and sister.
Oh yeah, no.
So
I get that.
we watched through about 75% of that movie,
And then
and then we left because it got so gross and disturbing. I wanted to finish it because I was enjoying myself. I thought it was a good movie.
Charlie was, yeah.
He was into that.
Okay, fish
stuff.
boy.
Fish boy, wow. Yeah, just call me Aquaman. From now
Yeah, I was about to say
All
that.
right.
But,
Jason Momoa
That makes
could
sense to me.
never.
If I went with my mother and we did not know that we were about to see,
Fish sex.
yeah, I would leave. If I went with my mother and we went to go see like American Psycho or something and did not knowing what was
Oh,
in it,
no.
I'm leaving the theater.
Oh, no.
Like that's different. I'm talking
I
a
can't
movie
even
you
imagine
knew
that,
what you
like-
were getting into,
Oh.
right? Taking out those two outlier scenarios.
I think the only. Jeez, Haleigh. I think the
Sorry,
only.
that was Matthias.
I think the only situation where you're ever leaving a movie is when you don't get what you're anticipating. Like when I went into Cats, I expected it to be bad, but I expected it to still be enjoyable.
Well, no, that's different. It's not like you. I think the only times where it's like okay to leave a movie is it's like because it's offensive to you or the audience you're with,
Yeah, I feel that.
which I think covers all the points that I've said are okay to leave a movie in. Marriage Story? Where did we got lost? We got lost in the
Yeah.
sauce here, hardcore.
Sorry, I hope you guys enjoyed that little segue though.
Yeah.
Or not segue, sorry, sidebar.
We've used a good chunk of our time talking about the movie-scape in general. We talked a lot about Marriage Story.
We talked.
Yeah.
I think we covered pretty much. Like, you can't do Marriage Story to death. Like, it's a movie that is very based around emotion, and you can't really explain emotion to someone.
Same as
Yeah.
Little Women. You just
Yeah.
gotta go
Yep,
see the
the
movie for
bittersweet
yourself.
romance.
Just gotta go see it for yourself.
I would recommend this movie to be seen first immediately because you have no reason not to if you
Yeah,
have Netflix.
it's on Netflix.
subscription.
Go watch Little Women
Do it.
right now.
Marriage Story, James.
Marriage Story.
You
Go
did it
watch-
again.
Go watch Marriage
Both of
Story.
them.
Go watch both. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no
go watch
reason
both
not
of
to
them.
watch both.
I think we covered all of our bases here. I don't really.
I feel good.
I feel
Yeah.
good too.
I feel good.
Da-na-na-na-na-na. I knew
Short
that I
and
would.
sweet.
Na-na-na-na-na-na. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been another episode of the Socratic Cinema podcast. Be sure to check us out on all available platforms, including.
YouTube, Spotify?
I was gonna be like
Oh,
YouTube,
just one.
Spotify,
Oh,
iTunes,
okay. YouTube.
Spotify.
iTunes.
Instagram, Socratic_cinema. Tell your friends about the show. The more you know.
The more
Get
you
up and
know.
go. Tell your friends about the show.
You go, bro.
You go, bro.
You go, bro.
You don't even know. Wearing a kimono.
All right. Well.
Yeah, but go tell your pals. Please spread the word. We appreciate
Mm-hmm.
you taking the time to listen to our podcast. It means the world to us.
Yeah.
And thank you guys all for a great year of
Yeah.
Socratic
Yes.
Cinema.
Wow.
2019.
We came I'm really it's really crazy to me that we were able to just get together and say we want to do a podcast, and we just did it, and
Now we're here.
and I don't like
God.
I don't care how many listeners we have. If there's one person listening to us, I'm happy. Like
Yeah.
just the fact that we can get our voice out there at all, and at least one of you is hearing it is more than I ever thought that I would be doing. If you asked, you know, so you talked to me. I mean, this has been like a great outlet, at least for me. I think for all of us to really explore the world of film more. At least for me, I mean, I'm starting to think about going into film and writing and things like that.
Yes,
You know,
James.
Yeah, let's
I don't
go.
know, but I mean, it's just an incredible way for us to express ourselves, and we're so thankful
For sure.
that a handful of you out there are listening. So please spread the word. and help us make this podcast as good as it can be. 2020, we're
We're coming for you.
no
Coming
no
for
hold. I don't know I never get that one right.
No holds barred.
No holds barred. 2020, we're going crazy. Stay tuned. Hot takes.
Hot takes.
Hot people.
Hot movies.
Socratic
Socratic
Cinema.
Cinema.
Out.
Adios.